Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Have you ever come across a sentence that just feels incomplete? Like something is missing but you can't quite put your finger on it? Let's try this. She's singing beautifully. Wait a second. Something sounds off, right? It's like the sentence wants to say something but doesn't have the full power to do so. That's because it's missing a little helper, a supporter, a silent force that makes verbs work properly. Yes, you got it. It's an auxiliary verb. Now, what exactly are auxiliary verbs? Think of them as the backstage crew of a play. The main actor, the main verb gets all the attention, but without the crew, the show wouldn't run smoothly, right? So, in the correct version of our sentence, she is singing beautifully. The tiny word is the auxiliary verb, and without it, the sentence loses its meaning. But that's just the beginning. Auxiliary verbs do much more than just support. They help create questions, change tenses, form negatives, and even add emphasis. Let's dive deeper into this. When it comes to an auxiliary verb, also known as the helping verb, it is used with a main verb in order to express different aspects of the main verb. If it comes in the tense, it will tell when the action took place. Or if you want to express your mood, how it is to be regarded, or in other words, if it is as a fact, a command, a wish, etc. And the voice of a verb tells us whether the subject is acting or being acted upon. So you know about passive and active voice, right? And also forming questions or negative statements. And we also use it to emphasize an important point. Okay, so the auxiliary verbs we'll be covering are to be, to do, to have. They can be used alone or together with other verbs to form different verb constructions. We usually know the main auxiliary verbs are to be, to have, and to do, but there are different forms they are used in. To be, say for example, like it's am, is, are, was, were, being, been, will be. All these words come under this category of to be. And to have, like has, have, had, having, will have, all these words comes under the category of to have auxiliary verb. And when it comes to do, we know that it's does, do, did, or will do. And please be aware that modal verbs are also considered auxiliary verbs, but we will cover those in the next lesson. Here are some examples given, and whatever highlighted in the purple color tells that it's an auxiliary verb. When it comes to be, so we'll see an example for that. I am swimming at the moment. She'll be working this afternoon. They were walking to school this morning when it started raining. So in this sentence, am, will be, where, all these are auxiliary verbs under the category to be. And for to have, she has been a vegetarian all her life. They have been waiting for us all day. They will have had a huge dinner by the time we get there. So here the words has, have been, will have, all these comes under the category of to have auxiliary verb. And when it comes to do, it's like he did not like to wear shoes. He will do our homework when we get home. She does like him, but she isn't in love with him. So all these words like did not, will do, does comes under the category of to do auxiliary verbs. Got it? And we learned in the lesson on tense, right? When we have learned about the past, future, and present tense, part of the construction of the tense usually relies on the use of auxiliary verbs. But now let's look at how we use the auxiliary to be in different tenses. The same auxiliary verbs when it comes to different tenses, how does it get changes? We'll see that. When it comes to present continuous, we either use am or is or are plus verb plus ing based on the subject, right? So here it's I'm working, it's am. And in past continuous tense, we use was or were based on the subject plus verb ing. So I was working. So here it was. And in future continuous tense, will be plus verb plus ing. So I'll be working. Got it? So I'm working, I was working, I'll be working. For the three tenses, we are using the auxiliary verbs form to be. Simple, right? Let's see some more examples. Just like the previous tenses, we also use the auxiliary have in different forms to express the tense. Just like the previous tenses, we also use the auxiliary to have in different tenses to express different ways, right? When it comes to present perfect, we either use have or has based on the subject and plus past participle verb. Example, she has eaten. And in past perfect, it is had plus past participle. That's the third form of the verb, right? So she had eaten. So here it is had. And in future perfect, will have plus past participle verb, which is she will have eaten. So again, here it's have. Got it? Now, when we move to have plus be, with the perfect continuous tense, we always use a combination of the auxiliary to have as well as to be together. Let's see some examples here. When it comes to present perfect continuous tense, it's like have or has been plus verb ing. So it's she has been sleeping. And if it is for past perfect continuous tense, it's had been plus verb plus ing. So she had been sleeping. And when it comes to future perfect continuous tense, it will have been plus verb ing. So she will have been sleeping. Got the difference? When it comes to voices like passive or active voice, we always use auxiliary verbs to support it, what we are using. In other words, whether the subject is performing the action or if it has the action done to it. We usually use the active voice, the auxiliary verb to be in the previous verb forms to express that the action is happening. Example, I'm washing the dishes. However, when we use it as a passive voice, the structure changes slightly, right? And the auxiliary verb to be helps us to make that change. So here, the dishes are being washed. So here I'm using the auxiliary verb am when it comes to active voice. The same when it is coming in passive voice, it's like are being washed. If you want to frame questions, we already know like the auxiliary verb comes first, followed by the subject. We have seen in many of the tenses, right? So here is an example. Do you think she likes me? Here, the verb comes first, followed by the subject. And the next example, don't you want to come over for dinner? It's do not, like don't. So don't comes in the front, followed by the subject you. And that's all for today's video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more English tips. See you in the next video. Bye bye.